No, I'm good. I think I'm going to get beat here. There's me. Here. Shoot, Lucas. You nearly done me then. Tell you what, Lucas, you've impressed me already. How good you are.
Oh, he's lost possession of the ball. Nice looking pass.
Foden!
I finally on the challenge.
Oh, he's beat you every game, isn't he? You're losing, Lucas. No! Who scored?
His movement was really good. He just found himself a bit of space.
Come on, Jack.
When it mattered most.
Now they have possession in a good area of the pitch. Feeding it through. Now he's got to stay calm. The electronic board delivers the news. 2 minutes of stoppage time.
Haaland!
And there's the
I nearly got you there, Lucas, in the last minute.
90 minutes. Well, the ball rolling again here. Can they open things up?
No! Oh! Deflection, then a save, then the crossbar.
Half time in extra time.
I think I need the Bruyne on. Okay, what you sliding? Okay.
Very effective pass. Oh! Against the post, but back in play. And Manchester City moving the ball with purpose.
Oh!
Did I go in?
Yeah, you said a long way out, but what a good
What a shot. Look at that, how close that was.
I thought
it was in.
my eyes closed. Good game.
Oh, good game, Lucas. It was 1-1 in the end, so.
Nice to meet you.
No, lovely to meet you, honestly.
It's been amazing because growing up I never think I'd be able to play with the football on the field or even playing EAFC. So it was amazing. It was a dream come true.
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. It's a bit of a different start to the show today as I'm outside the sensory room here at the Etihad Stadium as City and the community are marking International Day of Persons with Disabilities by celebrating a brand new partnership with Nissan. We're about to head into the sensory room and I'm going to go and speak to a young man called Lucas, who you might have seen this week across City channels talking and playing FC24 against Jack Grealish. So let's head in and let's go and make his day and see how he's getting on. Here we are. Hello, Lucas.
Hello.
Nice to meet you, mate. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Right, I remember, actually, Lucas, you very, very recently becoming a star on City channels because you played against Jack Grealish on FC24.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was amazing. Nearly beating Jack at EAFC.
You nearly did beat him, didn't you? Do you think he's good, or do you think you're better than him and you got a bit lucky?
Good lucky. Cause he used 2 hands, however I used 1 hand, so a bit unfair to me if you ask me.
I think you're our real winner, really. Let's talk about City in the community. This place is amazing, isn't it? And City in the community have been amazing to you, haven't they?
Yeah, 10 years on the trot now.
10 years on the trot. What's been your favourite thing being a part of such an amazing project?
Being able to show off my sporting ability, because when I was younger I thought I would never be able to play for such a big club like City, if you know what I mean.
Oh no, we absolutely do. Listen, it's so nice to meet you. It's so nice to speak to you. Remember, you guys can keep up to date with everything to do with City and the community by heading to the website mancity.com/CITC. You'll be able to see more stuff, hopefully of Lucas in the future and all the amazing projects they do. A massive thank you to Nissan. That is going to help them massively. Let's head over to Cel, who's in the studio with some special guests. Thanks, Lucas.
Thank you.
Thank you, FG, and thank you to our very special guest there, Lucas. Good afternoon. Welcome along to Matchday Live with me, Cel Spellman, and what a tantalising fixture we have coming up, a 4:30 kickoff here at the Etihad Stadium as we welcome Tottenham Hotspur. To give us all that build-up, though, well, I've got to say, it is a lineup of legends. We've got Mr. Joleon, Lescott, and it is an absolute pleasure to welcome back into the studio Mr. Paul Robinson and Ledley King. Ledley, first and foremost, just initial feelings about the game this afternoon. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham are obviously coming in off the back of 4 defeats. It's not ideal to be coming to the Etihad under them circumstances. I'm just hoping that, you know, they kind of surprise everyone. You know, everyone's probably expecting them to lose today, but, you know, I think this could be a time where they actually turn it around and get a result, which I'm hoping is a possible score draw.
Score draw.
Yeah, I'm going out early and say it early. Put it out there. You know.
Paul, obviously we're going to get into it all, but there's this whole kind of chat around how attacking are Tottenham going to be, what his hand's going to go for. How do you think this one could play out from the Tottenham Hotspur point of view? Are they going to come and play the game in the philosophy that he's built?
I think they will, because that's what he said and that's what he stuck to. And having watched Pep's post-match, pre-match press conference, he always praises managers that he likes to play against, that he likes to think will come and play open and play expansive and play against this City team and give them a chance. Listen, Andrew's got a certain way of playing and he's had success playing that way, whether it be with Tottenham, his previous clubs, wherever he's been, and he's got his beliefs and he sticks to them. You saw, whether it was to their detriment or not, in the Chelsea game when they lost 4-1. Okay, it wasn't a 4-1 game if Chelsea got the goals at the end, but they played a ridiculously high line with 9 men, and he stuck to his principles. And since losing the personnel, since losing games since then, maybe shored up a little bit against Wolves, but the principles are still there, and I think it will be open and attacking and expansive game from both sides today. Yeah,
you kind of got to admire it as well, because it's something that Pep Joleon has always kind of said about sticking to his philosophy. I remember him when he signed Bravo and the whole playing out from the back. We had that first season of teething problem, but he stuck to his guns as well.
Yeah, you've got to admire certain elements to it, but you've also got to recognise who you're facing. And as much as he wants to play an open, expansive philosophy and style, you've got to respect that it's Man City you're playing. And if you're coming unstuck against other teams, you're definitely going to come unstuck against Man City. They create chances at will. So if you give them more space in behind, I'm sure they'll exploit that. So I'm sure it's going to be exciting, but I don't see the line being as high, because I'm assuming that we're going to have more possession, which means we're going to be higher up the field anyway. So the line necessarily won't be on the halfway line, and yeah, just an exciting game.
And to be honest, I don't think the line's been that high in previous games.
Yeah,
I think it was a Chelsea game, 9 men. He's probably thinking, I don't want to be camped on the edge of my box.
Yes.
You know, if we're going to try and get something out of the game, we want to stop the game at the halfway line. You know, whether that's catching them offside or the keeper coming out and collecting the ball. But just trying to keep the game in their half as much as possible with 9 men.
But he's a manager that won't come here and try and get a draw or shut up shop and lose 1 or 2-0. He'll come here and he'll go with his beliefs, he'll go with what he wants to do and the way that they play, and he would rather go away here knowing that he's had a go at Manchester City than just sat back and defended. And I mean, some people say that's foolish, some people say it's brave, some people, the Tottenham fans, love it. I mean, they've had some really awful football in the last 18-24 months under Mourinho, under Conte. They're playing on the counter-attack.
But they've been successful here.
But they've been successful here doing that, because City at times, the times I've been here, maybe have struggled against sides that have had a low block against them.
So that shows a good
time.
That's the thing I'm talking about. Like, you've got to respect who you're facing and recognise, how do I get a result? And it may not be being expansive and trying to win the game too early. It's a case of, well, let's make it difficult, hard to beat, and then with the players they have, I'm sure they can cause problems.
Trying to exploit that. Well, listen, we've got all that to come for you now between the next hour as well. We're going to take a pause in the studio because it's now time to get team news. FG is pitchside with Mr. Michael Brown. Let's see how we're lining up today.
Yes, welcome to Pitside here at the Etihad. It is time to reveal the Manchester City starting 11 for the game against Tottenham Hotspur today. In goal is Ederson, the captain is Kyle Walker, then it is Akanji, Diaz, Vardiol, Rodri, Bernardo, Foden, Doku, Alvarez and Erling. Haaland, the substitutes are Ortega Moreno, Calvin Phillips, John Stones, Nathan Ake, a return from Mateo Kovacic, which is great to see, Jack Grealish, Sergio Gomez, Oscar Bob and Rico Lewis. Joining me pitchside is a man who's represented both teams, Michael Brown. Brownie, big game today. Typical Manchester weather. What do you make of the City team?
The conditions are perfect, aren't they? What more do you want? A little bit of rain, to be fast, to play it. few slide tackles even. Are they still allowed these days? Do you know what? It's a really strong team again. We talk so many times about Pep Guardiola, what the changes can be, how does it affect the game. And on this occasion now, really impressive in the wider areas. Will it be a Doku? Will it be Foden? Alvarez supporting as well. So that midfield position as well. Do you know, how does Rodri, does he sit? Where's Bernardo? Will Phil Foden come inside? So many options, but really, really strong team.
Now, we did speak about the high line, and I know people on Matchday Live probably would have spoken about it in the studio as well. The high line of Tottenham Hotspur. We wanted to pick out a man that we don't really speak about as much as we probably should do. Isn't that right, Brownie? That's our goalkeeper, Ederson.
Well, you've got to talk about him. Just that distribution, isn't it? The way he's so cool in possession. Like Paul Robinson will want to go. He's got that long strike like nobody else with them big quads. That's what Robbo had. So he could zing the ball, whereas other goalkeepers couldn't. Ederson, if it's a high line, and we know straight away there'll be those runs from inside, through the pitch, over the top, and on that press as well, he's be able to play short, but he's got the long one. So yeah, really important. Will he be busy? Will Spurs be overcommitting? And it could be a brilliant game, this.
It could indeed. Now, we will have the Spurs team news for you very, very shortly. Spurs are very, very brave, aren't they? The way that they approach under Ange, they seem to be very, very fearless. But would this Manchester City side relish playing against a team who wants to play like that?
Yeah, honestly, it's a brilliant point, isn't it? Because if they come and go toe to toe with City, like City are used to it, aren't they? That people are just sat in waiting. The Spurs teams in the past have waited and then countered, and of course City problems, but this is going to be different. Is he going to be brave enough? He said there's only one way to play, isn't it? That's what Ange wants to do. So he's going to push people forward, he's going to try and press, he's going to be open. If that high line's right on the halfway line, it's going to be incredible. I hope it's going to be like that. I hope it's end to end, because that's be something different, wouldn't it? Especially the Etihad, because sometimes it's that chess, isn't it, where they just wait, try to pick little pockets, and we just want an end-to-end one.
Now, I saw a comment from Pedro Porro, who actually said that if he's coming up against Jeremy Doku, he's going to be in a game, but so is he. That's confident, that's good talk from the fullback, but surely it's going to be a tough, especially with a high line, going up against Jeremy. He's just electric, isn't he?
Is it confidence? Is it stupidity? Or,
well, you tell me, Brownie.
Do you know what? He's a good player. You've got to back yourself. And Spurs have really talented players with the ball. They've got a real injury crisis. So that's all my point is. If they had more players available, you'd be slightly more confident for them. And I just feel it's perfect game for Man City on this occasion because of the way they play. And again, if he leaves that space, will Doku go with him? Got Guardiola just behind, so that'll be interesting.
Looking at our back four as well, really quickly before we head back to the studio, Spurs have really, really liked that high press like we've spoken about. We're very, very comfortable on the ball. He's gone with Josko Vardiol today. Nathan Ake was excellent when he last played. Why do you think he's put him into the team?
Well, thanks very much for that. Why do you think he's put him in? He's trying to stitch me up, put me under pressure. Why has he not picked Nathan Ake? We'll get him in a minute. We can ask him after you. I bet you wouldn't say it to him, would you?
I definitely would not. Who am I to argue with Guardiola?
So, do you know what? It's one of those, isn't it? We probably didn't have his best game against Chelsea. But in possession, we see he can come forward, he can join in, he can travel inside, or whether he goes down the wider areas. Nathan Ake, we know 1v1 situations really, really strong. With some coming against Liverpool, I think as well. There's not too many games too soon for Nathan Ake at times. But listen, I think it's a great back four. Again, on the other side, where we see Walker be able to go and join in. Foden, where's he going to drift to? Well, what are you thinking now? It's Doku, it's Foden, Alvarez and Haaland. But be careful for this change, because Bernardo could go into any of those positions.
It's going to be an absolutely fascinating game, and I tell you what, we've got some fascinating guests in the studio. You spoke about Robbo and Ledley King as well. Have you got a message for any of them?
Well, I've just popped up to see them, so I've got to be careful what I say, but that will be an interesting conversation with those three. Lots of experience, gentlemen, you would say as well, only just, but no, experienced panel that, and it'll be a really good watch.
And we're going to head back to the studio, and you're going to uncover all the secrets about Michael Brown. That's what we're going to do.
I'm waiting for later. I'm going to save a few just in case.
Thanks to Michael Brown and thanks to FG there. I mean, I hope we might possibly reveal a few Michael Brown secrets throughout the show. Okay, we'll get to them in a minute. There's a nice smile on Paul's face over there.
Couldn't possibly.
Paul, I'll start with you. When you see that starting 11, what are your thoughts kind of from how City are going to approach this, especially where we're saying if Tottenham come at us, we've got all the best attacking players that City have on offer at the moment there?
Yeah, Doku, I mean, stands out straight away, doesn't he? The pace, I mean, we spoke about him. He's a proper winger, and in football now, and the amount of in the Premier League we've got attacking wide players. He's a proper winger. He's got pace. He attacks players, and his first thought is forward. His first thought, once he gets his full back isolated one-on-one, the pace that City have got, the quality they've got in the final third has never been in question. City have struggled here when I've seen them against teams that sit with a low block. Brentford just brings to mind last season. I know that they lost. They played deep. They played defensively. They put long balls into the box. They caused City problems in the defensive third. Going forward, I mean, it's frightening. I love watching City from a neutral point of view. They're a fantastic team to watch, and you're always guaranteed goals when you come here.
Yeah, I mean, with Doc as well, he's been nominated for a Premier League Player of the Month. Just when you've got a winger like that, what can the defence or should they be doing to try and combat that and just try and limit him to not doing as well as little as he can?
Yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done. Of course, what you want to try and do is limit the service to him.
Yeah.
So you rely on a number of players to do that and to double up on him as soon as possible. You're going to need help maybe from one of the midfield players just to get out there and help. But I think more than ever now, if you've got a winger that can take players on, the way the game is now, players, teams put players in position which really stretch teams, which means the fullbacks are coming in and leaving the winger out with a lot of space and then having to get out there. It's hard. It's a hard job.
Oh,
it's a hard job.
Yeah, we see so many more 1v1s now.
Yeah, you see them so many, but not too many players that actually really go at players.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
And for City, it's great because we know they pass, but now they've got an option of someone just to go one-on-one.
Yeah, and then kind of once they created that overload, they get it across to the other side. One player I thought who was magnificent second half against RB Leipzig was Phil Foden. Starting again today, seems to be really coming into a rich vein of form, Joleon.
Yeah, and I don't like to describe it as that. He's just Phil Foden. He's always had that. As much as it was the second half, I don't think he's played poorly this season. Really, I think he's taken on the burden of the absence of Kevin. Done it in a different way, creating opportunities in a different style, and he's probably one of the few players that can receive the ball like that and just all of a sudden create a goal-scoring opportunity. And what I do admire about Phil, and I still don't believe people know, is that he's very, very fast. He's a lot faster than what people give him credit for. And you see defenders then try to stop him physically, and all of a sudden he's gone past them, and then you see them leaning, and it's kind of recognised that, he's not there anymore. So, Phil Foden is, like you said, he's playing exceptionally well.
I asked Paul Dickoff on the show in the middle of the week, though, do you think we've been close to seeing, actually his full potential of where he can get to?
Again, it's difficult because does he have to do more? No, he just has to maintain the level that he set. If Phil Foden doesn't get any better and plays how he's played since he's came on the scene at 17, then he's one of the best we've ever produced in England. You know what I mean? So to expect more, I think is hard. I think he set his bar so high. Just to maintain that is ridiculously hard. So I think we have to just understand that, he's still relatively young, but you don't need to produce something different every week. You just maintain the level, City, in regards to how they play. Does it have to get better? No, the other teams have to match what City are doing, and if they maintain the level they've set, then it's the
say that every season. City's the benchmark. Sorry, ladders. Say that every season. We as pundits, as ex-players, we sit there and we're asked at the beginning of every season, who do you think will win the league? And quite often the phrase is, if you finish above Man City, you'll win the league. And that's the benchmark.
Yeah. I was going to say that I think maybe the next step for Foden is to produce it on the international stage. I mean, we've seen him week in, week out. We all recognise how, what a quality player he is. I think now, can he translate that to
I think
being in a tournament? Can he really be a top player in a tournament?
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, I covered the last games, and he did produce that. The games weren't great, but he produced moments in both of the games that probably he was the only one that could produce it on the pitch. So I think they're starting to recognise that if you play him inside, as a winger we can go past players, but if he's in the middle of the pitch and he's going past midfielders, all of a sudden it's an overload against your back four. So
you see him every week. We get to see him regularly. Where's his best position? Where would you play him? If he was sat on the bench, where would you play him?
That's the problem with Phil. He's exceptional wherever he plays. His debut for the first team was left back.
Really?
You know what I mean? In the Champions League. So
he's just a footballer.
Yeah, and he loves it. So, and that's probably part of the kind of issue, is that because he loves it and he will play anywhere and he will contribute anywhere. So, but for me, if he plays in the middle, like I said, because he can go past midfielders, and you guys played with Dembele. When he went past someone, the game changed straight away, and I think that goes unnoticed and unrecognised how difficult that is to defence. We know Yaya Toure was the same.
Yes.
You face a midfielder up and he goes past it. It's an overload. As a winger, you can still get round and cover, but if in the middle of the pitch, when you go past someone, it changes the game.
Yeah, especially when he does that taking the ball on the half turn as well.
Exactly. If he gets in that number 10 position, the way he receives the ball, turns and moves into space.
The other player, though, I think that opened that up for him is Juleon Alvarez, and I think this season, I mean, he's probably the first name on the one of the first names on the team sheet, Ledley. But again, for a player that seems to have stepped into that touch, by the way,
deliberate.
I know it's
deliberate.
I was trying, me and my brother messed around and said, let's just try it. I don't know. I felt you probably went the other way, but Juleon Alvarez, I mean, hang on.
Oh, stupid. Where in the house did you try that touch?
Yeah, I know.
I believe it's in the garden.
Yeah.
But Juleon Alvarez has almost stepped into, dare I say, Kevin De Bruyne's boots, Ledley, and for such a young age. Well, obviously had basically completed football last year, but seems to have added another element to his game, and also playing with Haaland as well, which was the big question last season. Can they both play together? Yes, they can.
Yeah. For me, he's someone who's always looking to score goals. Whenever he's on the pitch, he wants to score goals. He's got good technique. He works extremely hard for the team as well. It's been enjoyable to see his progress since the World Cup.
Yes.
But no doubt he's a top talent.
Absolutely. One player I wanted to ask you about, Ederson, Paul. Now, only because I think particularly we all know about his distribution, but there's been a few games this season where actually I think it's been so key to us getting a result. Obviously, we conceded against Liverpool, but some of the passes in that game were unbelievable. The United game as well. We spoke about that potentially, not on the halfway line, but the high line. If that does happen, you do think Ederson might be able to kind of exploit that and capitalise on it?
He's got the ability to do it. We see the runs that Haaland makes. I mean, he makes no apologies for the runs he makes. Everybody knows that straight run that he makes in between central defenders or in between the centre half and the full back. And if the goalkeeper can pick him out, which he can, he's a quarterback. I mean, his ability with his feet is second to none. And to have that ability with the attacking, the plethora of attacking quality that City have got, it's not just Haaland you worry about. You've now got Doku. All of a sudden, defence to attack turns like that. And with a goalkeeper of his quality, you can do that. I told you last time I was in here, my Premier League assist record, it's under threat. Under big threat. Under big threat. It could go today. It could go today. But have you got, Robert? I think there's about 6 or 7, I think, off the top of my head. Yeah. But I think he's closing in quickly.
Would sometimes, are those moments that you train, or is it sometimes as well it's just an instinctual kind of thing on the pitch in that moment you go, actually I could see there's an assist? Or
it was a naturally strong part of my game.
Right.
And I was lucky I had Jermaine Defoe, Aaron Lennon, Robbie Keane, players like that with a bit of pace and a bit of nous. So if I got the ball and I could see they were gone, I mean, the game's changed completely. We talk about that all the time. But to have that pace in behind was always a good weapon for us to have.
Yeah, I used to love Aguero. He used to do a cheeky one where he pretend to tie a shoelace.
Get in.
Yeah, things like that one. Let's take a pause there in the studio. Let's find out how are Tottenham Hotspur lining up. Michael Brown is pitchside. I think he might be joined by Sean Wright-Phillips as well.
Yes, welcome back to Pitside at the Etihad. It's time to reveal the Spurs team news. In goal is Vicario, and it is Porro, Emerson Royale, Davies, Udogie, Basuma, Lo Celso, Kulusevski, Gill, Johnson and Son. The substitutes are on the screen, and we have been joined by Michael Brown and Sean Wright-Phillips. Sean, seen the team. Are you looking forward to the game today?
Always looking for this game, especially the way Ange plays. Very attacking, so I'm looking for it's going to be a really exciting game.
It is indeed. Now, you've seen the team, Brownie. Any surprises? They are playing, of course. We spoke about the injury crisis with 4 full-backs in the back 4. What are your thoughts?
I think it's one forced change that we've seen. Bensinker obviously misses out. Basuma, great midfielder to come in. Obviously got great ability. He's got the height, he's got some legs. He can get the ball back for them as well. It's going to be so interesting. I think the wide players, Sean, are going to be the areas, aren't they? If they've got a really high line, they have to leave it
but
so
also
open,
it benefits Haaland, you know what I mean? If you keep a high line, you're giving him what he wants, effectively. If he times his runs, as we know he normally does, and they see that pass, then pretty much no one's going to catch it, so he's going to be one-on-one.
What's the threats then for Spurs? What do you think? Kulusevski, Son, what do they
obviously
bring?
you got to put Sonny in there, but I think Brennan Johnson, since he's gone there, like, he showed something a bit more different to when he was at Forest. I think the time he's had under Ange, he seems more composed in and around the box, especially when he's picking out those passes, and his link-up play seems to me to have improved. So I think he's a danger man. Like I said, Son, Kulusevski, I don't think he'll give you that much of a threat in behind. He'll drive at you and cause problems in and around the box and put those crosses in, and maybe the odd shot or two.
Brennan Johnson's a one to watch, and he's getting better and better.
Let's talk about that then. So let's talk about the fact that they're playing with 4 fullbacks, righty. As an attacking player, is this a game that you'd probably be looking at? You're looking at Jeremy Docker, you're looking at our forward 3. Will they be relishing this opportunity?
Well, they have to be. I think Bruyne would tell you, especially back when we was playing, if there was a centre-back playing in a full-back position, the first thing the lads would say, or the boss would say, get the ball to that winger, get at him. He's not used to playing out there. So it's going to be awkward for all of them.
I think the interesting one for me as well, when you've got full-backs in those areas, centrally, it's different. So if we can put some crosses in, there's going to be a totally different scenario of opening your body shape up. I think that's one position I feel like it could be a threat. You know, if you miss like a Kevin De Bruyne for Haaland on top of that situation.
What about Yves Bissouma then? So obviously he's been in great form before. Obviously he missed the last game. He's going to have to play a lot deeper. I know we're talking about this high line, but surely he's going to have to compensate for them for Brownie.
Andrew's already come out and basically said he doesn't change the way he plays for anybody. So to be honest, I think he's going to come here and play exactly the same way he's played against every other team. I think in a lot of the games he's caused a lot of problems, even down to 9 or 10 men. They've still somehow created chances.
Fascinating how they've actually gone about it. It's like, we'll go on the halfway line, don't matter, we'll stay right there.
They take the chance.
I just think get the ball to Doku, isn't it? You know, straight away.
I think the killer for Ange in respects of Van der Ven, because he had the speed to recover. Now he's gone. That's where the problem starts.
Surely they've got to be a little bit more cautious, haven't they? Not so high, but who knows?
Well, they did it with 9 men against Chelsea, so I can't see it changing, honestly.
Look, it's going to be an absolutely fascinating game. We're trying to work it out here. We're going to head back to the studio now, where you guys can unpick it a little bit. But Paul Robinson, Ledley King are in the studio. Any messages for them?
Leds, I love you, bro, but I hope we smash you.
Well, let's head back there, where I'm sure Ledley will have some form of response for Sean Wright Phillips.
I'll give you the opportunity to respond, Ledley.
He's obviously got flashbacks of when we used to smash him.
I notice how he said that when he's half a mile away.
Yeah. We'll try and get him up in, see if he'll say it in the studio again. But first thoughts on seeing that starting 11. Obviously, we know about the defensive troubles that Spurs have had. It does look like it's going to be 4 fullbacks again at the back.
Yeah, well, listen, the manager's he's picked his team. He picked the same team really against Aston Villa in terms of the back 4. That's what he believes. Maybe he's going for a bit more pace in terms of Emerson as a centre half over Eric Dyer. But that midfield is interesting. You know, it is so offensive in there. There's no real defensive cover for the back 4 in there. To go with Gil and Lo Celso, it's kind of he's showing his cards in terms of he wants to play on the front foot, and he's going to take City on at their own game really.
I guess though, actually, Joleon, you know, all right, we're talking about what City could potentially be doing to that, but I think it's important to remember we conceded 4 against Chelsea. Leipzig had 2 in the back of the net within the first 45 minutes. So them coming forward also is going to give a lot for us to think about defensively as well, given that we have conceded, I think, 7 goals in our last 3 games.
Yeah, we have to respect the ability and the capabilities of Spurs players, but again, like Ledley said, then there's going to have to be someone in that team that has a defensive recognition. His instinct is just to sniff out danger, and technically they're great, and if you give them spells in possession they can cause problems, but I think the weaker part of their games are going to be exposed today, because like we assume Man City will have possession regardless of the scoreline. We assume that Man City will have control of the tempo and possession, and that always will cause problems.
Son loves playing against Spurs. I just wondered, Paul, obviously filling them boots that have left to, in Harry Kane. How do you think he's got on? And obviously playing against City as well, you'd like to think maybe he could get on the score sheet today.
Listen, he's been brilliant. He's taken the captain's armband on. He's taken the mantle on. We all know what a quality player is, but in the last season, the season for his goal tally wasn't quite there. Whether that was because of the way Spurs played, I think that was probably a lot down to it. The defensive nature that they had. Harry Kane took the brunt of it, and the whole focus is on what would we do if Harry wasn't there. But now Sonny's played. They were looking at potentially bringing a 9 in before the start of the season, but he's taken on the mantle. He's scoring goals. I mean, the first 10 games of the season he was excellent, as were the rest of the side. Yeah. But the problems we know, it's defensively, and since the Chelsea game that they're missing key players. Romero, it was only going to be a matter of time before he was suspended, because that's just the type of player he is.
Yeah.
Van der Ven's a huge miss. The 4 fullbacks in the back four today. Basuma is the only one that's going to have any kind of defensive responsibility in the back four. And listen, to put it into perspective, we all saw Newcastle play at PSG in midweek. It's the same type of task. Listen, it's a huge task when you come to the Etihad anyway.
Yeah.
It's a massive game for any away team to come here to try and get anything. But it's going to have to be that Newcastle type of performance away at PSG midweek from this depleted Spurs side if they've got a chance of getting anything.
On the manager as well, Ledley, Ange obviously he's come in, been a breath of fresh air, I think, for the Premier League. I think there's no fan that doesn't actually love Ange already.
Yeah.
Have you been surprised though just at how quickly his ideas and his philosophy have kind of come to fruition and how well they've been taken, particularly when you were full strength?
Well, I was on pre-season tour and I saw the transition in the first game, which I was shocked about. We played West Ham in our first pre-season game. We had over 30 shots, which was a big change to what we were seeing under Conte.
Yes.
So I saw that in the first game, and then you wonder, can you translate that to the Premier League? We've seen that. So, was I surprised? A little bit. But having said that, having seen them on pre-season, the players seem to adapt really quickly, which has been great.
Speaking of that midfield battle that Paul mentioned there, Joleon, obviously we've got Bernardo, I think it'll be Julian as we know, and Rodri. How key is that going to be just in the fixture as a whole from both sides today?
Yeah, we tend to see now that the possession causes so many problems. So yeah, that battle for various reasons, whether it is Spurs being on the back foot defensively or whether it is City coping with the transitions that Spurs have. So it's going to be vital to the outcome of the game. But like I said, I think we just have a little bit more quality and sharpness. Like that is a midfield three, I'm guessing, hasn't played together that many times this season. So there's going to be a match sharpness that you're going to need, and it's probably not the team players you want to be facing to get that sharpness.
It's an unusual midfield, like you say. Lo Celso will probably sit deep with Basuma. Lo Celso is a versatile player, plays anywhere. Ideally, he wants to play higher up on the left-hand side, but he's proved he can play in a defensive midfield role. So Lo Celso and Basuma will be the two that sit. Hill and Johnson will go wide, and Kulusevski will be in behind Sonny. So it's 3 to 5 players. Yes, they're not match sharp, and another thing, they're not used to playing together.
Johnson as well, though, just wanted to mention them wide players there. Do you think they could really hurt our fullbacks today, Paul?
They could. They'll look to, yeah, and that's the way that Ange plays. He plays with attacking pace. They press high, and with that pace that they've got Kulusevski in there as well. Be interesting to see where Hill plays, because he's slighter than the others. Whether he puts him out wide, tucks him in as a 10, because Maddison we know has been playing in that 10, and that's the way that Postecoglou likes to play. Whether Johnson and Hill play wide and Kulusevski tucks into the 10, or how they set up. I don't know how they're going to set up, which will be an interesting one to watch at kickoff.
What's going to be interesting is Tottenham have got their ball players on the pitch, so it's going to be interesting to see how much possession they can get in this game.
Yes,
because they're relying on playing, on being able to keep the ball. And with Sonny is a player that wants to go in behind. He's not a player like Harry who wants to come short to the ball. Yeah. So they're going to have to play early balls to Sonny when he makes that run. And he's got the players in there to do that, so it'll be interesting.
It's exciting, Joleon. I mean, we're so used to seeing what most teams do, and come sit back at the Etihad. But I guess actually, one for the neutral is going to be exciting. But there is something I'm going, well, I'm not really used to seeing a team come at City at the Etihad, and I guess the City boys aren't either, really.
No, yeah, and you got to respect that. And like I said, I don't think any team want to come back in City. I think the way that City make teams play, it just happens naturally, and I think there'll be elements of that today. I don't expect to see a consistently high line from Spurs because of the position that Man City will have. But yeah, it's very exciting, not just because of the style of the manager. Like Spurs have caused Man City problems for numerous years. Son has been a nemesis for Man City. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. Going back to the threat that Spurs have, Brendan Johnson, really like him. I just think he may come unstuck today because his strength is running in behind, and he's facing Kyle Walker, who probably the only defender in world football that loves to run backwards, loves to run as fast as he can towards his own goal. So it's going to be a difficult one for him today.
Lovely stuff, thank you, gents. Listen, if you've just tuned in, thanks for joining us. We've got Paul Robinson, Ledley King and Joleon Lescott in the studio. And remember, as always, we want to hear from you. There's a WhatsApp number on the bottom of your screen. You can get your questions into us. We've had a couple come in already. And this one I'm going to go to from Sean. He says, if you could be a part of either squad today, which one would you prefer to be a part of, and which player would you be excited to play alongside?
Go on, Ledley. Right.
Wait, he's a one-club man. He can only say one thing, can't he?
Of course, Spurs. Who's a player in the Spurs squad that you'd have loved to have played against, or played with? Sorry,
played with. Yeah, top keeper. The keeper's.
Wait for it.
I like that. Yeah.
It'd make a change for him being on the pitch.
Just get a game.
I think. Listen, I think Sonny is a magnificent player. He's the go-to man at the moment for Spurs. So yeah, I would love to play with someone like that.
What about you, Joleon?
Yeah, I'll obviously City. Playing with anyone. Probably say. Who not? I'd probably say Phil. Massive fan of Phil Foden. I'm lucky enough to play with David Silva, but I just think Phil Foden has the capabilities to kind of emulate the career he's had in different ways. But yeah, I'm Phil Foden.
Paul?
Listen, I'm going to be nice. I'm not going to make a jovial. I played one of the best centre halves of my era. But he never had that partner at all.
What are we laughing at, man? Is that funny?
Until Michael Dawson came. But he wasn't immediately at the top level. So for Ledley to have had a partner at club level, I mean, Van der Ven. I mean, Ledley was quick. Ledley was deceivingly very, very quick, and his reading of the game was outstanding. But for us as a defence, and we conceded goals, Ledley never had that solidity of a quality centre-half partner. And
Woody come in at the end, one of us was always injured, so we never only played a few.
That would have been a good partnership.
And Van der Ven with Ledley alongside, I think that would have been a very, very good centre-half partnership.
He's been so impressive. I know he's been out, but he's come in and kind of just blown everyone away, I think, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's been a shock. I mean, young, left-footed, quick. Do you know what I mean?
But plays with experience. Like I think he kind of settled down Romero a little bit. To be fair, I think everyone was kind of expecting him to dominate the partnership, but I think he's been better for him than in reverse. I just think he's been so composed, and you don't normally see that from young defenders.
Recruitment with Spurs. I mean, you look at it. Udogi this year, Van der Ven's come this year. Kulusevski, Bentancur, players that came in January last year.
The goalkeeper. Did you know anything about him?
No, I mean very little. And at 26, he's not played that much at the top level. But again, fantastic recruitment.
I want to just quickly ask with Romero. Obviously, that booking changed the game, and obviously to lose him, how much of it is it sometimes because you don't want to lose that kind of fight that he's got, but also there is a little bit where you want him to maybe be a bit smarter at times.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest, this season he's been a lot better. He's been a lot calmer. That was just a mad 10 minutes at Chelsea. But my biggest issue was picking up silly yellow cards. Maybe when I used to see him pick up one on the halfway line, for example, in the first 10 minutes, then you're under pressure for the rest of the game. I understand that he wants to be physical. He wants to win everything. You can't win everything as a defender. We both know that. And I thought he'd had a better understanding this season. It's shown that. I just think, we've all been there. London derby, can have a crazy spell in the game, and I think he kind of lost his head for a split moment. But this season he's been good.
Does it affect you? I mean, I've always wondered this from a goal, because we never very rarely get booked. If you get booked early on in the game, does it affect the way you play?
No, because again, saying I was as good as Ledley, but similar styles in play in terms of if it was a yellow card, I knew I wasn't going to make a similar challenge like that again, or similar decision where Romero's like he's consistently thinking I need to win it, I need to win it, I need to win it, where I was kind of be more secure in my thought process and my decision to make a calculated tackle. If I was getting booked, it was because it was going to be a better opportunity for the opposition. But yeah, I never worried about that. I never really slid. I didn't know how to. That's an art, definitely a skill, and I couldn't do it.
You don't pick up too many yellow cards if you stay on your feet and trust your kind of. Trust yourself.
Like, you have to recognise 6 seconds. There's a teammate. You're gonna have a teammate, so you just try and delay.
But I used to, funny enough, I used to feel a bit nervous once I had it. Because I wasn't used to it. I only had, I think, 8 in my career. So every time I did get one, I kind of felt like, one kind of slip and I'm off the pitch. Which is strange,
So it's interesting as well. You said you couldn't slide, isn't like? Is that, that's
a skill.
Sometimes you watch it and you just got to time it right, but no, there's a real skill to it.
100%. Like defenders that could do it, I admired, because I couldn't do it to the level that was required. So I used to try and be in a better position.
Did you train?
You can't. And like, you have to learn in game. But again, there's elements that to everyone's game that just come natural, and that wasn't one that came natural to me. I just recognised, my strength was anticipating rather than trying to make a last-ditch tackle.
What he's saying is he was a top quality centre half and he never used to have to go to ground.
No. I went to ground.
That's what it is.
The kit was clean there.
Fascinating that, James. Right, want to take a quick moment now to talk about King of the Kippax. Now, if you've been to the Etihad Stadium, you know it's kind of almost an institution. It's been going 35 years. But after 35 years, today marks the last time that we'll be getting an edition of King of the Kippax. So we went and met the two people behind it with FG.
Yes, thank you, Kel. Here I am in the absolutely wonderful Tunnel Club. And in case you didn't know, after 35 years, the last edition fanzine of King of the Kippax was released by Dave and Sue. They're in the Tunnel Club, so we're going to go and catch up with them about such a memorable few years. As we head over towards Dave, Sue, it's a pleasure to meet you, Dave.
And you, yeah.
First of all, a massive congratulations on everything King of the Kippax has done. Let's go from the start. Let's go back to the start and the reason for you starting it.
Oh, many reasons, really. It was a bad time to be a football fan. You couldn't go for a job and say you were a soccer fan. You had to say you played golf and squash and stuff, otherwise you wouldn't get the job. And there was hooliganism, there was electric fences, stewarding, policing was bad, and football fans were treated as thugs, and that's not what we saw. We wanted to bring the humour out of that City fans have got particularly, and I think give the fans a voice in the fanzine.
You absolutely did give the fans an incredible voice. It was pretty much everybody's childhood. King of the Kippax, City fanzine, that's exactly what it was. Yeah. Is there any specific editions that stand out for you as your best?
Well, I think the recent ones have been... I think we've got better and better over the years, but I mean originally it was a very cut and paste edition, and Sue's mum used to do the typing. She said she'd read words in there that she'd never read before or heard before, and the first one is a special one, and we've had such fantastic occasions, haven't we, with the wins, winning, beating United all those times, cup finals, titles. Even the Gillingham game was a massive game, and it was good to get a fanzine out after that. And the whole experience, winning, losing, has been great, because the contributions we've had have been fantastic. And we've now got to the stage where it's full colour and the contributions are as good as ever. But it's just the time, I think, to stop doing it, I'm afraid. 35 years, 300 issues. And the big one next month, so it's getting harder to do a paper fanzine, basically.
It is, absolutely. Now I'll head over to this side, Sue. We won't leave you out, of course. One of the illustrator of everything, a massive part of it over the last 35 years. It's been an incredible journey for you, hasn't it?
It has, yes. I mean, it just started off, I was filling in the gaps in it because it was literally cut and paste at that time, and so you'd end up with. They were all laid out and these gaps, so I did little doodles to fill in the spaces, and it's just grown from then.
Well, I think on behalf of City fans, I think everyone who's watching will never ever forget the legacy you guys created, and we want to thank you. So thank you so much, and all the best for everything you go on to achieve.
We're very privileged, there's lots of City fans out there who deserve accolades, and we're just very privileged to be here today, and thanks to everybody who's bought it and contributed to it. Grateful thanks to everybody.
And there you have it. Great to catch up with Dave and Sue. Of course you can.
Thank you. A big thank you to all the members of our family who've been drawn into it one way or another. And a big thank you to Tom and Steve, who are out there selling it today while we're living it up in here. I feel very guilty. Not.
Well, you enjoy your day.
Obviously, we've got to say thanks to Pep and the team, for giving us such tremendous memories over the last few years, and to everybody involved at City over the last 35 years as well, or even longer for me, even though I only started supporting them in 2008, like everybody else. So, thanks to everybody. We're overwhelmed, really. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That is the final edition of the King of the Kippax. It's all done, but a massive thank you to Sue and Dave. Congratulations on everything you've achieved. Let's head back to the studio.
A legacy cemented indeed. Dave and Sue, a massive thank you on behalf of everyone here at Manchester City and all fans that have enjoyed King of the Kit Packs over those incredible 35 years. Now, earlier this week, we got some very sad news that England legend Terry Venables sadly passed away, and we wanted to take a moment to talk about a man who described by Pep as a visionary, a charismatic coach. He, of course, was coach at Barcelona while Pep was there, led England as well to the 96 semi-finals at the Euros. You know, when there's these people, when you get the tributes throughout the week, that they have a massive, not just impact kind of on the game, but on people as well. And I just wanted to get some memories from yourself. Paul, I didn't even realise, but you've got a great story about you.
Yeah, no, he gave me my first opportunity in football at Leeds. He was our Leeds United manager after the trials and tribulations at Leeds. He came in mid all the mess, if you like, at Leeds. And he came in, tactically he was incredible, the way that he wanted to play. And the only way I can put it is, he was better than the players he had. You could see what he was doing and what he was coaching on the training pitch, but the players that he was coaching weren't good enough to take on board what he had, which is why I don't think the success that he had everywhere else he had with us at Leeds. But for me, he gave me my first opportunity on the way home from a pre-season trip. At the time, the goalkeeper Nigel Martin didn't go for reasons of his own, because he'd been away with England during the summer. I went away in pre-season, did particularly well, and he got me on the plane on the way home, and he just said, "Look, you've done really well. You're going to be my number one this year. What shirt number do you want?" And like, as a young kid there, I mean, your dream as a goalkeeper is to wear number one, isn't it? You want the number one shirt. I mean, I started this season, I've got number 13 on my back. But Nigel started off cleaning his boots, and then he's just told me I'm going to take his place. I really want his shirt, but I just said, can I have 10 minutes to think about it? So I tried to ignore it, and then I spoke to him when we got back. But as a gentleman, as a man manager, we talk about man managing squads and the way that you are with people. He just had a way and a presence about him of how to deal with people in a very humane way, and that's lost quite often. He treated everybody as an individual. Not everybody needs to be treated the same way in a dressing room.
Yeah.
We hear managers that rule with a big stick, with the shouting, the aggression. Some managers very quiet. Every player has different needs, and Terry was very, very good at seeing what individual players needed.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, were you around the England set when he came back as the assistant? You were around that time as well?
Yeah, I was around, and as Paul said, he's a player's manager, wasn't he? You know, he's someone who will put his arm around you, knows how to get the best out of his players. You know, I think of someone like a Gaza, Paul Gascoigne, having a spell at Tottenham under him, and then Euro '96. He seems like that type of manager that knows how to get the best out of your quality players. And yeah, he was a gentleman, so yeah, pleasure to be around.
And a Tottenham Hotspur legend as well, I guess that'll never go, but of course massive impact on the club as well there.
Yeah. No, as I say, I've got memories of, Spurs winning the FA Cup under him, and Gazza and Lineker kind of, that kind of era, that was down to Terry Venables and the kind of football that he wanted the team to play.
As well, not just to do it in England, obviously going over to Barcelona as well. It's not easy, especially at that time as well.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't tend to send many, and we still don't, coaches to go over there and have a massive impact on Europe. And like Ledley said, I was lucky enough to work with him when I first broke into the England setup. And again, like Paul said, he was genuine, and I don't think you get that all the time. It wasn't uncomfortable to have normal conversations. You could speak about football, and that's easy for most coaches, but to have genuine conversations and for him to pick out little nuances in your game and stuff, it was like, oh, you obviously do care, and you obviously are watching.
Absolutely. Well, listen, all the thoughts and condolences to Terry Venables' family, and we talked about legacy there with King of the Kit Packs. That's one man whose legacy is well and truly cemented. FG is now joined by none other than YouTuber Pieface. Let's hear what he has to say ahead of our game against Tottenham, which is coming up in 22 minutes time.
Yes, welcome back to Pitside. As you can see, I am joined by YouTube sensation, Big Brother sensation, all-round good guy, Pieface. Pie, welcome to the Etihad.
Thank you very much for having me.
We are going to be talking to you guys about the Etihad Player of the Month. Now, the nominations are out, and of course, we're going to be coming to your expertise about these players. All right, so the 3 players who've been nominated for the Etihad Player of the Month. We'll start with our number 9, Erling Haaland. He's making a bit of... This is a normal thing for him, isn't it, every month?
Yeah, it's pretty standard. He wins something, so I wouldn't be shocked if he did get voted as a favourite. Obviously, absolute baller. Do you like him in Ultimate Team?
Yeah, well, this is what we were going to talk about. So FC24 now. Erling Haaland's got a couple of special items already. including the UCL one. It's a bit out of my budget.
Yeah.
But he's frightening on the game and he's frightening on the pitch as well, isn't he?
Every single player that used him against me, they're just like left ping in, real life left ping in. So that's probably a realistic comparison.
And of course, he is the FC24 cover star, which is absolutely amazing to see a City player on the cover star. Let's move on now to Phil Foden, our star boy. We know Pi is an absolute massive fan, as Phil, as am I. Nominated for Player of the Month, rightly so. He seems to be getting his place in this team. He starts again today, and it's going to be really, really exciting to see him play today, isn't it?
Yeah, I think against the defence that Spurs have currently got, he might have a bit of fun. Especially, I know they've got Alvarez up front as well today. Nutty team, but on FC24, no special cards for Phil. What's going on?
No special items for Phil Foden, EA. We are looking at you. What is going on?
It's a disgrace.
We really need a special Phil Foden. I mean, hopefully if he has a good performance here today, we might potentially get a Team of the Week item. It could be up for grabs, but he's good on the game, but we really need that special now, don't we?
We do.
Going into December, of course, Jeremy Doku, it has been an incredible month for him last month. Absolutely sensational. He brings back the excitement on the pitch, and he's got special items on FC24 as well.
Yeah,
actually.
and I know even with all the special cards like available, his Team of the Weeks are super pricey. So if he does get a Player of the Month, a Premier League Player of the Month, he'd be nutty. Look what we've got here.
Oh, let's go.
That is class. That is class.
And that is for one of you guys to potentially win a signed Jeremy Doku FC24 item, and that is, of course, if Pi doesn't run away from it. Pi, going into the game real quick.
Yes.
How do you think it's going to go today?
I think there'll be goals, and I think City are going to get quite a few of them. I am worried with the Spurs defence, shall we say. I think your boys will have a lot of fun today.
Well, we absolutely love to have you here. Love the hoodie, love the pink mic. Great to see you here, and we love this FC24 item, so make sure you follow all the instructions for your chance to win it before I take it home or Pi does.
Don't worry, I'll be getting that off FG so he doesn't leave the stadium with it, and we'll be making sure it goes to one of you at home. As I said, just use the WhatsApp number to let us know who you think is going to win the Etihad Player of the Month. And as well, if you've got a question for our guests, I mean, what a panel you've got to get into, please do just get your questions in. We're doing them in just a little bit. But before, we were speaking about Terry Venables, of course, and we wanted to do a little chat around managers. And I wondered, for the three of you, were there any standout managers throughout your career that had a massive impact on you, either personally or on your game as well?
Yeah, I mean, I had quite a few managers at Spurs. My first one was Glenn Hoddle. George Graham was my first one. And I was going to say that you always kind of got a special affiliation with the manager who gives you your debut.
Of course.
But funny enough, he didn't see me as a defender, he saw me as a midfielder. So I didn't really play centre-half under him, I played more in midfield. Then Glenn Hoddle come in, went to a back three. I really enjoyed that. Glenn was someone who encouraged me to play and express myself. And I loved that. So, you know, Glenn definitely had a big impact. For me, he was ahead of his time. You know, back then when most teams were 4-4-2, you know, we were playing 3-5-2. We wanted an extra midfielder. We wanted these centre halves to be able to play with the ball at the back. So I enjoyed that. Martin Yole, you know, I enjoyed my time under Martin.
Great man manager, wasn't he?
Yeah,
great man manager. Yeah. Treated players
easy to have,
well.
You know, easy to talk to. And then Harry. Of course, Harry again.
Yeah.
You know, the team we had under Harry was you know, a great team. Modric, Bale, players like that. Van der Vaart in the team. So, you know, I've got probably three managers: Glenn, Martin, and Harry that were, you know, special to me.
Special to you.
Yeah.
Joleon, what about for yourself?
Yeah, easy for me. Glenn Hoddle, like the best I've worked with.
That was Wolves.
Yeah. Like I was young as well, so obviously inexperienced, but the way he saw the game, like Lily said, he saw elements to my game that I could improve. And I always remember he used to have me doing finishing sessions on my own, and used to think you're getting so many good areas for set pieces, but your conversion rate is poor, crap really. So literally I used to just be thinking, why am I finishing? I'm like, why am I not doing clearances and stuff? But no, and then I literally went to Everton after and like got a high number of goals. So yeah, he saw bits in my game, and the way he coached the details to the game, like the way he used to talk to the wingers about dribbling at the defender's back foot and how that causes them to be unbalanced. And I'd never heard anyone speak like that.
Wow.
And again, it was just like so new and refreshing, and his kind of delivery was so clear. I don't know if it was like that for everyone, but whatever he said, I understood. It was just so clear. So he was definitely the.
Did he train with you?
Yeah, but he wasn't as mobile as. But he's technically he was. One time he trained and then he's done a bit of skill and Matt Murray's in goal and he's like about 30 yards out and he's dinked it. Like he must have checked. Obviously, he's come to him. He's chopped it twice between two players and then he's without even looking. He's like swiveled on it and dinked it. And Matty's scrambling to save it. We turned around and said, "You're lucky you saved that." So lucky, I would have hammered it there. You didn't save it. Oh.
You never loved that now,
never. Yeah, technically, he was nice.
Paul, what about for yourself?
Too many to mention. I've got far too many to sack as well. The thing with managers is you get very, very good managers and you get some managers that you don't like and you don't get on with. Yeah. One for me at Spurs, one day Ramos. We didn't see eye to eye immediately. He had the perception of me before he came in and I think there's a good percentage of the dressing room that felt the same way about him. But you have good managers that you respond to. I always responded to a manager that the door was open and if you weren't going to play, they'd tell you why you weren't going to play. Whether it was good or bad, they'd be open, they'd be honest with you. The hardest thing for a manager to be is honest with his players and it's the best thing that a player appreciates the most. Sam Allardyce for me was one that I had. Terry at Leeds, Sean Dyche at the end of my career at Burnley. Those type of managers who were able to have a conversation with you, whether you wanted to hear it or not, and told you what you had to do if you weren't playing. Those type of managers.
And I guess as well, then you all those little bits and bobs that you kind of then keep with you, and then that kind of helps you form the footballer you are at the end of the day. Do you remember even thinking meet manager and going? They maybe inspired you to coach possibly at all? Not for you.
I don't want to coach.
None of us are coaching.
I've coached and I listen. There's elements to coaching I really enjoy and working with the players individually and stuff. But the kind of the detail and the kind of workload that you have to have as a coach.
It's an obsession now.
Yeah,
it's an obsession. Listen, I've got my badges. I've got my badges. I always fancied managing at some point. Yeah. And I'm never saying never to management. But being completely honest, the road that I would have to take to management, not stupid or blind enough to think you can just go in and manage at the top level or any level. You get one chance and then you're done. Yeah. You go in, you do the under-23s, you shadow the academy, you take a kids team, you take a ladies team, you take the academy teams, you build your way up, you work under managers, you work under coaches, and you build a portfolio to eventually get yourself to that position.
Yes.
And like Joleon says, it's not just 3 or 4 hours a day, it's an obsession. It's 24 hours a day, and you have to be a certain type of person and ready to accept that into your life to do that.
Yeah, fascinating. Right, let's get into, should we play a game, gents? We've got not long to go before we'll get final thoughts from our guests, but we're bringing you a game, classic game of higher or lower. Now you can work as a team, or if you disagree then the team will separate, but today we have got on our lineup over 1,000 Premier League appearances. That's what's inspired it, and we're asking you to tell us higher or lower on Premier League appearances. So we begin with Yaya Toure, 230 Premier League appearances. Did Gareth Bale have more or less, higher or lower?
It's got to be lower.
I'd go less. I'd say lower.
Go less.
Lower.
All agreed with lower. Let's check. Spot on. 166 for Gareth Bale. Okay, now we move to someone else who's part of the Matchday show today, Michael Brown. We were hearing from him pitchside before.
66.
You got to say higher now.
I reckon he had 160 yellow cards.
Definitely. 100%. 100%. Michael Brown, higher or lower, do you think?
That's a tough one, actually.
I would say higher than that.
I'd go higher.
What teams?
Fulham, Spurs, Sheffield.
Sheffield United when they were in Prem.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruyne was one that played every week.
Yeah, it was, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm going to go higher.
Never injured, was he, Bruyne?
Yeah, higher.
Higher. It's good deliberation. I like that. It's good team working well together. Strong. Okay. Up next, Harry Kane.
Got to be higher.
Higher. Straight up.
194 goals in it.
He's got more than
straight in there. 320.
Oh,
wow.
this one. This is a tough one.
Now we get to Sergio Aguero.
How many goals did he?
He's got 260 goals to Man City.
Has got to be more than surely.
No, but that's like league goals.
That's not league.
He was injured a fair bit. He's got to be lower. He's got to be lower.
Yeah,
I'll be led by
Joleon.
Yeah,
I reckon he's around 300. Yeah, go.
Lower.
We're
close. Yeah.
Nice. 275. All right, now we're getting into Joleon Lescott. More or less appearances.
I reckon I'm lower than that. I reckon.
I think you're higher.
My career, but I remember I played champ for a minute. I played in a champ. I think my career appearances is like 500. Premier League.
Mate, the kick off in 10 minutes.
I'm going to say lower.
You're the only man that can answer this question.
Ledley was spot on. Because
it's not a lie. It's not a lie, is it?
Ledley knew. All right,
that's a young Ledley King. That
Ledley King, more or less.
Look at my eyes there. Look at my eyes.
Higher or lower, Ledley? Do you think?
I know what mine is. So mine's lower. It's lower.
He knows his stuff.
It's tight though, isn't it? Why did they do so tight, man? Callum making it too tight.
Kevin De Bruyne, has he played more or less times than Ledley King in the Premier League? These are all very close, by the way, very tight.
I think the next two, I'm looking at Keno, I'm going more.
More.
I think it might be a trick. I don't know. De Bruyne.
How long was he in Germany?
Yeah, but he's at Chelsea as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, but only for a lot of the season. He played about a handful of games.
He didn't really play much.
I would go lower.
Go lower?
I don't know. They played season.
How many
seasons? A lot, don't he?
How many seasons has he been here?
8.
Oh, is he?
8.
Yeah, we got lower.
So 38.
Say lower?
Yeah.
Yeah, lower.
Going lower, let's have a look.
Yeah.
There we go, 243. All right.
Definitely higher.
Ledley King, straight up, higher.
Yeah.
Spot on, 349.
David didn't miss many games, you know. He didn't miss many games. But he's got to be lower than that. He's got to be, because he's only here 10 seasons.
So you're saying lower?
He didn't play every game for 10 seasons. Yeah, go on, lower.
Lower?
Slightly.
Spot on, 309. Tell you what, it's only one you've only got yourself wrong here.
Mine's definitely lower, because I spent a long time in the Championship with Blackburn.
Yeah?
Yeah, mine's definitely lower. Premier League appearances.
Really?
Yeah, lower.
Premier League?
Definitely lower.
The conviction, he said that. That's what I'm saying.
I was convinced as well.
I was convinced. The conviction, I was like, he was convinced. Sure.
I heard Ledley next week just
I was convinced.
Really?
I was convinced.
300 amazing.
You know Blackburn played in the Premier League, right? You know you was in the Premier League with Blackburn.
I love that. Tell you what, those
Lads, apologies.
The only two we got wrong was yourself. Gents, I enjoyed that. Listen, it's flown by the show, so you know we're going to do WhatsApp questions at half time, so that's why you've got to come back when we get into all the action of the first half. But let's get some final thoughts. Paul, we've seen the teams. It looks like it's going to be a very open and attacking game, but I guess you're maybe hoping that Tottenham maybe be a little bit kind of cautious, knowing what City can do at home.
Yeah, listen, he's been quite open and honest the way he plays, and he said that he's not going to change. I'd like to think they would change slightly. There's areas of the pitch that they've got to shut up shop. There is areas of the pitch that can hurt City, but you look at the forward line City have got in the back four that Spurs have got, you've got to worry. It's a heart and head situation. If you're asking for a score prediction, there's going to be goals. Score draw from heart, from head. It's going to be difficult for Spurs this afternoon.
Father Christmas making an appearance as well here at the Etihad. Joleon, key players today then for City, and yeah, how do you see this game going today?
Yeah, again, City in control of tempo, possession, mostly. Doku, I think he's playing exceptionally well, and knowing Pedro Porro, that's defensively, he's done all right this season, but that's not his strongest part of his game, so I see him being exposed a little bit.
Give us a little bit, what's your prediction for the score?
3-1.
3-1, City, nice. And Ledley, again, I mean, we've looked at kind of, obviously, the four fullbacks in defence. Do you slightly worried about that? But then also, looking at the other end of the pitch as well, you'd like to think you could be getting a goal today as well.
Yeah, I think Tottenham are basically going to have to kind of play on their front foot, you know. They're going to have to match City in terms of, you know, going forward. That's going to be their biggest chance. You know, they're not going to be able to sit in there and defend with the players they've got.
Yeah,
they're going to have to play on the front foot and cause City problems that way. But I think they might turn it around. It's been 4 defeats in a row, and people would naturally expect it to go 5 today. Yeah. And I think they'll be alright. I think they'll get a draw today.
They'll get a draw today.
We'll get a draw.
We had at the start of the show, Joe, and we just wanted to do one final word on this. It's been a big day for City in the community. We had Lucas join us on the start of the show with brilliant meeting, Jack Grealish. They've got their new sponsor with Nissan, and I know you've done a lot of work with them. It's just a final word on just how important that work is for the greater Manchester area, because they do a lot, and I don't think people realise how much.
No, it's huge. They've always done a lot since I've joined here, and even the owners have took it upon themselves to kind of develop the city as a whole. So yeah, this club does probably as much as others, but listen, you cannot discredit what this club does for the city.
I mean, and ladies, what you were just saying, kind of coming back from India, I know it's football is used to kind of not just here, but in the UK, but all around the world to kind of help. And it was an amazing trip for yourself.
Yeah, it was. Well, we know how big and popular the Premier League is around the world. You know, and in India at the moment, you know, they're loving it. We've got a good fan base out there. It was important for us to get out there and to kind of give back to them, but also try and help develop the game. India has a huge population. They should be. If they put their mind to it, then they should be able to compete on the highest level of the world stage eventually. But that will take time.
I mean, you were saying as well, Paul, you had a trip over to Vietnam. It must be amazing. I mean, you can go to these places around the world and actually, we might not speak the same language, but the language of football kind of transcends that, doesn't it?
Listen, the football clubs are quite often the centre of the communities, the hub of the communities, and there's so much that football clubs can do and that they do and work in the community, not just in the local communities, but in the worldwide communities. And now the Premier League is the global product it is. Clubs are recognising that fact and doing it.
It does feel like, I don't mean my mates have been saying, but it just feels like football, it seems like bigger than ever, Joleon.
Definitely. It was always big, but the kind of access to it was limited, right? It was match of the day or limited access. You would see one game probably a week. Now it's multiple games. I think recently, just before the international break, there was a game on every day, and multiple games as well. And with the power of social media, however you want to gain access to it, you can. And it's just becoming so big, and that's so.
And I think it's credit to the football as well. The football that is being played makes it so popular. That's why people tune in all around the world to the Premier League.
50 games in December. 50 plus games in December. Wow, it's incredible.
You're right, actually. And actually, what we're getting today is probably alongside Klopp, maybe two of the best attacking managers that will show kind of football in its best ability, Joe.
Yeah, definitely two of the most exciting managers, but also great people to listen to. But going back to the football element, it's an experience now. You don't just go to games and just enjoy the 90 minutes. Like, we can hear the music playing, the atmosphere, the build-up, the kind of show that teams and clubs put on before the games, and people are kind of enjoying that atmosphere as well, element to it as well. So.
Listen, gents, I've absolutely loved that. A massive thank you to an incredible panel here, Paul Robinson, Joleon Lescott and Ledley King. We're going to be back at half-time and at full-time, so do come join us. But the boys are in the tunnel, so let's hand over to Alistair Mann, who's got your commentary on the City app, and I look forward to seeing you at half-time.